Welcome to Bedtime Science. Did you know that a newborn kangaroo is smaller than a jelly bean and must climb on its own to reach its mother's pouch? Tonight we explore the quiet world of kangaroos, animals built for stillness, speed, and slow, patient motherhood. In the next moments, we will gently move through how the kangaroo's body stores energy in its tendon like a stretched rubber band, why a newborn weighs less than a single gram and finds its own way, how a mother can carry 3 offspring at 3 different stages, how a thick tail acts as a 5th limb across the dry Australian grass, and how a whole mob can speak through soft clucks and the strike of a single foot. Before we begin, if you find comfort here tonight, consider subscribing to join our quiet community. And if you are still awake, you can leave a soft comment about what topic we should look at next. Now let's begin. Australia is an old place. The grasslands carry a kind of stillness that seems to belong to no other continent. Wide plains reach from horizon to horizon, broken only by pale-barked eucalyptus trees and low, soft grasses. The sky there is larger than the sky elsewhere. By evening it softens from blue into peach and gold, and the heat begins to lift from the ground. These open woodlands and grasslands have been shaped over millennia by fire, drought, and grazing. The kangaroo is part of that long shaping. The country made the animal, and the animal made the country. Across this terrain, several kinds of kangaroo move and feed. The red kangaroo is the largest marsupial alive today. A large male can stand nearly as tall as a person. His fur is a pale, dusty red that seems to glow in the afternoon light. He may weigh more than 90 kilograms, which is heavier than most adult humans. Females are smaller and lighter. Their coats are a cool blue-gray, which is why they are sometimes called blue flyers. From a distance, a group of red kangaroos can look like 2 species at once. Further east, the eastern gray kangaroo moves through stands of eucalyptus and open pasture. Its fur is a soft, smoky gray. Its movement is unhurried, almost contemplative. It lives in groups of 10 or more within a familiar home range. The western gray kangaroo grazes in large groups across coastal and inland country to the south and west. The wallaroo is heavier and more compact, and it finds its footing on rocky highlands that other species do not often visit. All of these belong to the family of macropods. The word comes from the Greek for large foot, and it includes the kangaroos, wallabies, and the smaller rat kangaroos. Each of them shares the same basic plan: long hind legs, short forelimbs, a heavy tail, and a forward-opening pouch. A kangaroo stands quietly in the late sun. Its posture is something between a lean and a balance. The hind legs are long and slightly bent at the knee, built like coiled springs. The back feet are large and flat, pressing gently into the soil. The tail is long, thick, and heavy with muscle. It curves behind the body and rests against the earth like a quiet anchor. The forelimbs look almost delicate beside the power of the back end. They are used for leaning forward while grazing, or for supporting the body during the slow, shuffling walk that carries the animal across short distances. The ears sit high on the head, large and rounded, slightly cupped. Each one works the way a small satellite dish gathers signal, drawing sound from the open air. Each ear can rotate independently up to 180 degrees. Between them, they sweep the full circle of the surroundings. A kangaroo can stand perfectly still and listen to every direction at once. The ears do the searching. The body stays quiet. The eyes sit high on the skull, giving a wide field of view. In large kangaroos, the visual field reaches about 324 degrees, nearly the full circle of the world around them. The light-sensitive cells across the retina are arranged in a horizontal band. This is well suited to open grassland, where the important information often comes from the flat line of the horizon. The kangaroo can also see color, especially in the blue to green range. That helps it read the slow changes of vegetation as the seasons turn. Now, the mechanics of motion. The kangaroo is the largest animal on Earth that travels by hopping. The secret lies in the tendons of the lower hind limb. Long cables of tissue, called the gastrocnemius and plantaris tendons, run down the back of each leg. They connect the calf muscles to the bones of the foot. As the kangaroo lands from a hop, these tendons stretch under the impact. They store energy the way a stretched rubber band stores energy. As the leg pushes off again, that stored energy is released, snapping the tendon back and sending the animal forward almost for free. Landing charges them, takeoff releases them. The heaviness of landing is made useful. The fall is turned into flight. In large kangaroos, faster hopping is actually more efficient. Scientists studying kangaroos on treadmills found something quietly remarkable. As a kangaroo speeds up, its oxygen consumption barely rises. In most animals, moving faster always costs more energy. In the kangaroo, above a certain speed, the cost stays nearly flat. The animal bounces forward on the stored energy of its own weight. A red kangaroo can cruise comfortably at around 20 to 25 kilometers per hour. For short bursts, it can reach about 70 kilometers per hour. A single bound can span 9 meters of ground, and a strong leap can clear 2 meters of height. Most of the time, though, no kangaroo moves like that. High speeds are reserved for urgent moments. The everyday motion of the mob is gentle and steady. Across deep time, this design has made the kangaroo one of the most energy-efficient large animals on Earth. The tail of a kangaroo is more than a counterweight. It is, in a real sense, a fifth limb. The tail contains more than 20 vertebrae, all highly mobile. Powerful muscles support it, larger than the muscles in the forelimbs. At speed, the tail acts as ballast. It trails behind the body, swaying slightly, helping to keep the torso level over each hop. Without it, the weight of the chest would tumble forward with every landing. But the role of the tail becomes even more interesting when the animal moves slowly. When a kangaroo grazes, it cannot move its back legs alternately the way a dog or a cat does. Instead, it swings both hind legs forward together. The front legs and the tail then form a tripod of support while the back legs lift and land in unison. This pattern is called pentapedal locomotion, which means five-legged movement. The tail presses into the ground in rhythm with the front limbs. Researchers who measured the forces under each limb discovered something quietly extraordinary. During slow walking, the tail generates as much propulsive force as the front and hind legs combined. It performs as much mechanical work as a human leg does during ordinary walking at the same speed. A fifth leg, then, one that evolution quietly built into an animal most people picture as a two-legged hopper. Now we come to the moment the opening hinted at. Kangaroo pregnancy is short. It lasts only about 33 to 36 days, one of the shortest gestations among mammals of comparable size. By comparison, a deer carries its young for many months. What emerges at the end of that brief pregnancy is something almost impossible to picture. The newborn joey weighs less than a single gram. It measures roughly 2 centimeters in length, about the size of a jelly bean. It fits inside a teaspoon. It has no fur. Its eyes are sealed shut. It cannot hear. Its hind limbs are barely formed, just soft, undeveloped stubs. Only its front arms are relatively well developed. And the moment it is born, this tiny creature begins to climb. It uses its front arms to grip the fur of its mother's belly. It pulls itself forward, hand over tiny hand, in a slow swimming motion through the warmth of her coat. The mother does not pick it up. She does not guide it with her paws. She may lick a faint trail through her fur, leaving a moist path of warmth and scent. But the climb itself is entirely the joey's own effort. Up through the warmth of its mother's belly, up toward the pouch, up toward safety. The whole climb takes only a few minutes. The joey finds the opening of the pouch, slips inside, locates one of 4 teats and latches on. The teat then swells gently in its mouth, holding it in place. The first journey of a kangaroo's life is the journey to its own mother's pouch, made alone in the dark by an animal smaller than a coin. The pouch is warm, dark, and lined with soft skin. It is a complete developmental environment, humidified, protected, and constantly supplied with everything the growing joey needs. In effect, the pouch is an external womb. The joey continues to develop there for many months, finishing the work that began inside the body. At around 6 months of age, it begins to peek its head out into the light. At 8 or 9 months, it takes its first tentative hops on the ground. It still returns quickly to the pouch to sleep, nurse, and rest. By about 18 months, the joey is fully weaned. Lactation in kangaroos can last up to 22 months, roughly 4 times longer than would be expected for a placental mammal of similar size. The most quietly astonishing fact about the pouch is the milk. The composition of the mother's milk shifts continuously as the joey grows. Early milk is watery and low in fat, gentle nourishment for a body still learning to exist. Later milk is richer in fat and protein, calibrated to the joey's stage. The milk that feeds a 3-month joey is genuinely different from the milk that feeds a 6-month joey. The mother's body tracks the joey's progress and responds in real time. This is where kangaroo biology becomes quietly extraordinary. A mother kangaroo can carry 3 offspring at once, each at a different stage of becoming. She may have a tiny embryo paused inside her belly. She may have a developing joey in the pouch, and she may have an older joey hopping at her side. 3 lives, 1 body, 3 different stages of becoming. The waiting embryo is a blastocyst, a small ball of about 70 to 100 cells. It is suspended at the earliest stage of development. It is not asleep exactly. It is not dead. It is held at the edge of becoming, waiting for a signal to continue. This is called embryonic diapause, or delayed implantation. The signal to pause comes from the nursing joey. Hormones associated with lactation circulate in the mother's blood, telling the waiting embryo, "Not yet." When the pouch joey grows large enough to leave and nursing becomes less frequent, the hormonal signal fades. The embryo receives, in effect, a quiet green light and resumes its growth. The embryo may have waited weeks. It may have waited many months. It does not know it is waiting. And there is one more layer to this. If a young joey is still in the pouch, while an older joey nurses occasionally from outside, the mother produces two different kinds of milk at the same time. The young pouch joey receives thin, watery, early-stage milk. The older joey receives thick, rich, high-fat milk. The two milks are produced from two different teats at the same time. They are, in every biochemical sense, entirely different drinks. Each teat responds to the joey nursing from it. One body, two different kitchens, two different recipes served at the same hour. A group of kangaroos is called a mob. A mob of eastern gray kangaroos can contain between 10 and 50 animals. The mob often splits into smaller groups during the day, drifting apart to graze and drawing back together in the cool of the evening. The structure of a mob is fluid. Members come and go. Subgroups form and dissolve like slow currents in still water. In a recent study from the University of New South Wales, researchers found evidence of long-term social bonds among eastern gray kangaroos. This had not been formally documented before. One researcher, Nora Campbell, spent 6 years studying a single group of around 130 kangaroos. She came to recognize individual animals by the unique shapes of their ears. She observed that female kangaroos form long-term friendships. These are not passing associations. They are bonds maintained with the same individuals year after year. Mothers with joeys are particularly social, seeking out other mothers and forming small clusters of familiarity within the wider mob. This is the opposite of what has been seen in some other species, where mothers tend to draw away from the group. Eastern gray kangaroos communicate softly. They make a low, liquid clucking sound to maintain contact across the grass. Mothers cluck to their joeys. Joeys answer with a soft, high sound of their own. In the evening, members of the mob stand near each other, groom briefly, and lean their heads together with noses close. It is a quiet kind of company. Sometimes the males rise onto their tails and push at each other with their forearms. They may kick gently with their back legs. This is the well-known boxing posture, but it is usually a slow contest for rank, not a fight to harm. Males establish their loose hierarchies this way, then settle. Sound travels far across open grassland. There are no walls and no forests to absorb it. The kangaroo's ears are designed for this open world. Each ear pivots on its own, sweeping the air the way cupped hands gather water. One ear may face forward while the other angles back, listening behind. When danger is sensed, a kangaroo can sound an alarm with its body. It lifts one foot or both and strikes them sharply against the ground. The thump is loud enough to be felt as well as heard. The vibration travels through the soil. Other mob members pick up the signal almost instantly. The sound carries far across the flat country, spreading the warning to kangaroos out of sight. Within seconds, the whole mob can be alert and moving, flowing away from the source of danger in a quiet, rolling tide. In the dry interior of Australia, the sun is heavy. Ground temperatures at midday can climb past 70 degrees Celsius. To survive this heat, kangaroos rest in the shade through the hottest part of the afternoon. They scrape slightly into the cooler soil under low trees. The shade does most of the work of keeping them comfortable. But they also have a more subtle cooling system, one of the most elegant in the animal kingdom. Along the insides of their forearms, a network of blood vessels runs very close to the skin's surface. When a kangaroo grows warm, Blood flow to these vessels increases. The skin there becomes flushed and warm to the touch. The animal then licks long, slow strokes along the inside of each forearm, coating its fur with saliva. As the saliva evaporates, it carries heat away from the blood vessels just below the surface. The cooled blood flows back through the body, lowering the core temperature. Thermal imaging studies have shown cool patches spreading across the forearms as the licking continues. Each lick is a small act of evaporative cooling. The afternoon passes, and the kangaroo waits for the heat to lift. Kangaroos are crepuscular, which means they are most active in the soft light of dusk and dawn. As the sun lowers and the heat begins to lift, the mob begins to stir. The animals stretch, shake their ears, and begin pentaptal walking out to the grazing areas. They prefer young, green shoots high in protein. They are less interested in dry or woody plants. The mob moves to where the grass is freshest, leaving older growth to recover. The soft, padded feet of kangaroos are gentler on the soil than the hard hooves of cattle or sheep. They press lightly into the earth. They spread seeds through their digestive systems. They leave patches of closely cropped ground that other species can use. The grass remembers them only gently. The relationship between the kangaroo and its land feels more like partnership than occupation. The animal is shaped by the country, and the country is shaped by the animal. Kangaroos do not sleep the way humans think of sleep, in one long, unbroken stillness from dark to dawn. They rest in short intervals, alert between episodes of deeper quiet. They keep some awareness of the world at all times. Their ears continue to move even during rest, slow sweeping arcs in the dark air. The Australian grassland at night is not silent. Insects pulse and hum. Wind moves through the grass with a sound like soft breathing. When the moon is full, the mob is visible as pale shapes scattered across the pale ground. The animals drift toward the shelter of eucalyptus stands. Legs fold beneath bodies. Tails curl loosely behind. They rest close to each other but not quite touching. The breath of the mob creates a faint warmth in the cool night air. The earliest known fossil relatives of modern kangaroos date back tens of millions of years. The ancestral macropods are thought to have been small, forest-dwelling creatures, roughly the size of a rabbit. They were largely nocturnal. They fed on insects and soft plant material. Over deep time, Australia grew drier. The inland forests gave way to grassland. The early macropods responded slowly. Their bodies grew larger. They moved out into the open. They began to graze. Their hind legs lengthened. Their tendons developed those spring-like properties that turn the work of landing into the energy of flight. The pouch grew more sophisticated. Social groups expanded across the open country. Marsupials took a different evolutionary path from placental mammals such as horses, elephants, and humans. Rather than investing enormous energy in a long internal pregnancy, they evolved a very brief gestation followed by a very long lactation. The pouch became more than a carrying device. It became a complete external womb, allowing development to continue after birth in a protected, adjustable environment. It is a slow, gentle solution to the problem of raising a body in a difficult land. Now the day is ending in kangaroo country. The mob drifts together in the long blue light. The tendons in their legs hold yesterday's hops and tomorrow's hops, charged and ready and patient. The tails rest against the earth. In the pouch of one mother, a small joey turns in its sleep. In her body, an embryo waits, suspended at the edge of becoming, listening for a signal it cannot name. Beside her, an older joey leans in close, learning the shape of the world. 3 lives, 1 body, 3 different stages of becoming. The wind moves over the grass. The eucalyptus trees lean slightly in the breeze. The sky deepens through peach and gold into the dark blue of evening. The kangaroo, finally, is an animal of quiet motion. A long pregnancy is traded for the long climb to the pouch. A long sprint is traded for the steady spring of stored energy. A long parental effort is traded out across years of patient milk. Across deep time, this design has carried the kangaroo through drought and fire and the slow drying of a continent. Somewhere out on the open grass, a newborn the size of a jelly bean is still climbing, hand over tiny hand through the warmth of its mother's coat toward the soft dark of the pouch. The mother stands still. The grass barely moves. The world is still. The world is quiet. The world is gentle. If you found comfort here tonight, you can rest now. Sweet dreams, and we'll see you next time on Bedtime Science.